Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave, episode 25. So for today's episode, I would like to talk a little bit about Ghostbusters and some of the collectibles that I've accumulated. Like everything else that I have, I don't go crazy buying just one type of toy or one type of series. Like I don't just focus on Transformers or focus on, specific kinds of video games. I like to have a bunch of different things, and just because I like Transformers or I like Ghostbusters or something, I don't just go out and everything that has the Ghostbusters on, I buy it. Now, there's a lot of people that are like that. They're diehard collectors of something, and that's cool. I mean, if that's what you love to do, that's what you love to do. But for me, I'm kind of a selective buyer, and part of it obviously has to do with money, space. When the Ghostbusters toys came out, well, not the original ones. I mean, I'm talking about the newer stuff that's out today. I had to decide which one I wanted, and ultimately I ended up with this one, which is Egon. I saw this in the store. I actually saw all four of them, and it was really tempting not to buy all four of them. And but I mean, the price they're like $30 each. So I'm like, after all that's gonna be a lot of money in figures that I'm just gonna be putting in my man cave. So I thought, who's my favorite Ghostbuster? And I'm sure everybody has their own favorites. And so mine was Egon. And surprisingly, they had a couple of them on the shelf. And so I grabbed it. I don't see these anywhere else. I don't know if this is a newer product or if this is one of these products that just kind of came out and wasn't really popular. I don't know. I don't see them everywhere. So, finding them in a Walmart was unusual for me. And so, and I remember the first time when I saw this, it wasn't Egon, it was Ray. They had Ray Stantz, and I don't mind Ray, but I was like, nah. But when I found Egon, I definitely wanted him. So that's the back there. These figures are interesting because each one of them comes with a part. You can see right there. So if you buy all of them, you can actually end up making this this thing here, the Ghostbuster symbol on a stand. I'm not too concerned about that because I'm not going to be opening this anyways. So I like it the way it is. I like the packaging, I like the artwork, and the figure looks cool too. I mean, that's it looks like Egon. It looks very detailed. But as far as like the new movie, the 2016 movie, same thing. I had to decide, and this is very much the same idea. This is Jillian Holtzman. That was my favorite character. And everybody's going to have their favorites. This is done exactly the same way. It comes with a part here, and when you're done, you can put it all together and you can make the guy at the end. What was his name? I totally forgot his name. But he was the big guy. He kind of replaced the Marshmallow Man in the movie, from the original movie. Anyways, even though the Marshmallow Man kind of made an appearance in this movie, which was great. But that was the one I wanted. Was Holtzman. So that's the one I grabbed. And again, it wasn't easy. I mean, there was lots of the other figures, so Holtzman was a little bit harder to find for me. So I was glad I was able to pick her up. And then, I ended up with Slimer. I wasn't sure if I wanted this one. We actually bought this as a prop for my daughter to use as for part of her Halloween costume. And we never ended up using it. And I debated, do I want to keep this? Do I want to just send it back, return it? But, I was thinking about it. I mean, this is kind of fun. You pull on his tongue. Makes funny noises. I don't know. I think it looks neat. I mean, Slimer was always a big piece of the Ghostbuster franchise, right? I mean, he's been in every movie, so, why not? Even in the cartoon, he became the headlight of the cartoon. After a couple of seasons, it was all about Slimer and the real Ghostbusters. So, it's a neat toy. It's interesting. I think it's worth keeping. Out of one. I used to have some of the old toys back in the day, the real Ghostbuster toys, and again, I only had a select few. I had Peter Venkman at the time, and I had the Marshmallow Man, which was always my favorite character. I'd yet to pick up another Marshmallow Man toy. Probably will at some point. And of course, there's also the Lego, which I've done a video on. Sadly, this thing is back in pieces again. So I might need to put that back together. And of course, they did make this product, which is the Proton Pack. This is the one from the 2016 Ghostbuster. This was we bought this just to use as a Halloween costume. Again, part of the what my daughter was going to be for Halloween. But I think it looks cute. It looks kind of cool. I mean, look at it. I mean, it's almost like the real thing. It's it's obviously to a smaller scale. It would never fit on an adult. It just would look ridiculous. And the proton gun comes off, and it's not a bad product. Kind of expensive. It was like $40 for that thing, but whatever. I'm not a big Ghostbuster collector. I'm not gonna fill my shelves full of Ghostbuster stuff. But I mean, just to talk about the movie for a second, and obviously the original movie was the better one. Everybody loved the original. I grew up with it. I watched it a million times. I don't even know how many times I've seen it. I pretty much know the script. So the Ghostbusters 2016. I don't know what you call it, if you call it that or you call it Ghostbusters Answer the Call. There's a lot of different names for it. Some people are calling it the female Ghostbusters and whatever. And when it came out, there was a lot of talk about it, a lot of negative talk about it. People didn't like it because, well, they didn't like it because it was different from the original. They changed too many things. They called it Ghostbusters. They should have never called it just Ghostbusters. Some people didn't like it because it was an all-female act. They didn't like some of the actresses. There was just a lot of hate. And so when I saw it in theater, I actually liked it. I didn't have a problem with it. And I'm surprised now because this is this DVD that has all three movies. So it's kind of like, that's the 2016 one, and then there's 2 discs behind it. I've been watching the new one, and it's amazing how many things, how many details I missed when I saw it in theater. And, just little things that I thought, every time I watch it, I kind of like it even more. You see them build up their uniform throughout the movie. And something I didn't notice in the beginning. Like, obviously, in the very start of the movie, after they go for their first ghost in the subway, they don't have any equipment at all except for whatever Holtzman had in that, bin thing that she was carrying around. She had like a proton pack, but it wasn't a backpack. She had all the stuff, but it was very primitive. It was very prototype. And then in the next scene, or in the next time they actually go out to fight ghosts, they're putting on the uniforms, and again, it's missing the logo. They don't have the right shoes, boots, or whatever. There's a lot of the origin in this one, and how they became Ghostbusters. The original movie, they really just got to the point. They came up with the idea. They saw their first ghost, and the next thing they have the fire hall. They have the uniforms. They have all the equipment. They're out. They're fighting. They go after Slimer. It jumps into it. It jumps right into it. This, they decided that they were going to add a little bit more meat into the story and say, let's show them how they came up with the equipment. Let's show them where they get the uniforms from. And that, I don't know, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes it could be a little bit much. You might not care. But it's great. I mean, the fact is that they've intended that they're going to make more movies. They do this with a lot of movies nowadays, where they create an origin, and then all of a sudden, then they get in. Like, if you saw Batman Begins, for instance, you see how they make Batman, and it's like, the first big portion of the movie was how he became Batman. And then in The Dark Knight, he is full-on Batman. It's just a Batman movie at this point, and you kind of know the backstory. So they did the same thing here, and I think that was it was a pretty smart move. I mean, the other thing is that they kept the movie much like the original as far as the flow. So you see them start off. They're they're scientists or doctors, and they're in university, and they're kind of doing the paranormal on the side, or they're trying to get their paranormal taken seriously. And then they see their first ghost, and then they come up with the idea for a business. They get kicked out of the university, and then the movie flows exactly the same way. And even up to the end, with the explosion of the building, all the ghosts coming out, and then the big giant being the character, that would be this guy. Oops, this guy. Tearing up the city. A lot of that is very much following the first Ghostbuster movie. And they didn't have to do that. They could have just completely came up with a new idea, completely abandoned the original script, the original ideas, the original concepts from the first movie, and just come up with an entirely new movie. But they didn't. They decided to stay true to the original. And I thought that that was pretty neat too. I mean, there's some negatives. Like, for instance, the secretary, in the first movie, it was Janine. She was very serious style actress, character, I should say. And she was smart. She knew what she was doing. And then they bring in, for this 2016, they bring in, the bumbling idiot. Okay, they could have kept him stupid, but not that stupid. He was too stupid, and I thought that that was a problem. Like, where he was walking around with glasses with no glass in them, and, silly things like that. He didn't need to be that dumb. The concept of the guy, the main villain, where he kills himself, and he's channeling the ghost through the electricity, that I don't know if I like that too much. I found that a little bit off. The car, which, this is the original car. This is the 1984 car. This is the one we all know. And then for this one, they had to use a newer car. And I understand that there's probably a reasoning, to have an older style car would make it a little bit less likely that they would get their hands on such an old car. And why would they use it? I mean, when they did it in 84, the car was only about 20 years old, or, around that range. So that was a little believable. And if it was 2016 and then they pulled that car out, it would be unbelievable. But, I mean, it is kind of sad that we couldn't have the original Ecto car, and they had to have their own car, because that's part of them. That's part of their iconic look, is the car. And it would be like if they did the Dukes of Hazzard, when they did the Dukes of Hazzard reboot, instead of using the classic 68 Charger, they ended up using a 2016 Charger, or whatever, whenever the movie was made. It just wouldn't have worked. I mean, you just got to have the right car. Yeah, so anyways, aside from that, this was a great movie. The 2016 one was great. I hope they make a sequel. It'd be nice to see that. And I don't mind collecting some of the toys for it. I don't know if I'm going to buy much more than this. I think this is a great little collection, Egon and the Slimer and Holtzman. Maybe if I can get them cheaper, I might, but otherwise, I think I'm pretty good with that. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts are on Ghostbusters. I know there's probably a lot of people that have a lot to say about the movies. And if you collect the toys, I'd like to know, because it's just fun, right? And then you put them up on display. It looks great. Hopefully I can get my hands on some of the older toys, but I know that they're getting harder and harder to find. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Talk to you later.